Our purpose tonight is to provide everyone, students and parents, with all the information you may need and questions you may have about applying to one of the service academies. We're really thrilled you all joined us tonight because our nation needs people like you who are willing to serve. So we're looking forward to informing you and getting to know you a little bit better. Before we start any more of the program, I'd like to ask everyone to just take a moment of silence as we remember service members who've fallen in the line of duty and also prisoners of war. So we'll just take a moment of silence to recognize them. All right, thank you very much, everyone. So just a couple of administrative remarks from me before we get to the meat of the program. I think you'll be very happy to learn we've got representatives from each of the service academies, people who know all about this and spend their time advising students. And so you're going to hear from each one of them. Hopefully you've seen or will get their contact information and their backgrounds or bios. So we want to be able to have you get your questions answered. And the way we'll do that is a couple of ways. There's been some questions submitted in advance. There's also a chat feature. So you have to, if you look on your Zoom screen, there's a chat icon, and you can type in a question and we'll get it that way. And then you can also raise your hand at the end, and the administrator will recognize you, and then you'll be able to speak your question. Okay, so we want to get all those questions out. We'll leave plenty of time for that. Let's see. I think the only thing I have left to do is introduce our host for the evening, Congressman Brian Higgins. I'm hoping Brian has joined. I can't tell for sure. Brian has been a representative of Congress for over 15 years, represents the 26th district in New York, and his birthday was yesterday. So everybody welcome Brian Higgins. And take it away, Brian. Are you here? Can't tell. Brian is a busy guy, and sometimes he has schedule conflicts. If we don't have Brian, we'll come back to him.
Yeah, Jerry, I don't see him on at the moment, so I will let you know when he is logged in.
All right. So we will. This is a perfect example of what it's like in the military. Need to adapt and overcome unforeseen circumstances, right? So we also, our other host is Austin Ponce, who's representing Senator Gillibrand. So Austin's going to make some remarks, give you some information about the senator's process. Austin.
Evening, everyone. My name is Austin Ponce, and I currently serve as U.S. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand's Western New York Regional Assistant. On behalf of our office, we would like to thank all of you for attending our annual Western New York Service Academy Night, hosted with the Office of Congressman Brian Higgins. And although this year's Service Academy Night looks a little bit different, we would like to thank all of you who are taking the time to participate this evening, and to thank the representatives from the Service Academies and ROTC programs for participating and taking the time to speak with you all today. As we went over briefly, we will begin the speakers panel in a short while, during which our Academy and ROTC representatives will provide you with some thoughts on what makes their institution and their branch of service distinctive. After that panel, we'll have a brief Q&A for general questions. In the meantime, please leave any questions that you might have for panelists using the chat function, and I will be helping moderate those a little later. As a general reminder, students applying to West Point, the Naval Academy, the Air Force Academy, and the Merchant Marine Academy must have a nomination in order to be appointed. And you can apply for that nomination through your member of Congress, either of your senators, and the vice president. There are also nominations available for sons and daughters of career military personnel and for members of JROTC and ROTC units. Each of these nominating sources has their own application and nomination process. And with that, our office would like to stress the importance of seeking a nomination from all available sources that have been mentioned. The deadline to apply for a nomination from Senator Kirsten Gillibrand is October 25th. And if you have any any questions regarding our nominations process, you're welcome to contact nominations@gillibrand.senate.gov or our New York City office at 212-688-6262. And I would like to thank all of the high schools, teachers, and guidance counselors that helped promote tonight's event. And with that, I turn my time back over to you, Jerry.
Thank you, Austin. And just a reminder, October 25th is their deadline. And now we have Congressman Higgins. Happy birthday, Brian. Belated.
Jerry, thank you very, very much. We missed it by one day. After 40, we don't celebrate our birthdays anymore. So anyhow, Jerry, you're a good man, and thank you very much for being with us again today. You're a long-standing participant in our program, and we appreciate your expertise, your friendship, and your leadership. Welcome to Service Academy Night 2020, brought to you for the first time virtually. This is an opportunity for high school students, your families, school administrators, and counselors to find out more about the Service Academy institutions, programs, and the application process. Service Academy opportunities are made by the President of the United States and require congressional nominations. Each year, we appoint an Academy Advisory Board made up of Western New York veterans and community leaders to interview all applicants and make recommendations to my office about which students are deserving of a nomination. Our office can nominate up to 10 students per academy. Each of the academies then select the top candidate for our congressional district for admission. As you know, the service academies will offer you an exceptional education, unique experience, and endless opportunities for future success. The service requirement is a large part of this commitment, and I commend you for exploring this opportunity to earn your education through service to our country, to the greatest nation in the history of the world. I'd like to take a moment to recognize each of the Academy representatives here with us tonight who volunteer their time, and most of whom are longstanding participants that make the necessary commitment to helping you successfully apply and help the academies make an informed decision. Here on behalf of the United States Military Academy at West Point, Randy Garver, a 2000 graduate of West Point who was commissioned as an infantry officer. His deployments include a peacekeeping mission in Kosovo and combat operations in Iraq. Jim Montgomery, who is a good friend of ours, who has taken a leadership role tonight and throughout all of our interviews. Jim is a 1991 West Point graduate and U.S. Army captain with the 82nd Airborne Division. He was deployed for combat missions in Somalia and Haiti, and currently works in the pharmaceutical industry as a major leader. Representing the United States Naval Academy is Jerry Irving. Jerry Irving, who is also serving as our MC tonight. Jerry is a retired commander and a Naval Academy Blue and Gold officer. Today, he works as Vice President of Human Resources and Marketing for Moog's Space and Defense Group. We are also pleased to have Tony Deaville, also a Naval Academy Blue and Gold officer. Tony was a commissioned commissioned as a naval officer through the ROTC program. He served 22 years as a surface warfare officer and was deployed 5 times overseas. Speaking for the United States Air Force Academy is Jeffrey W. Burhart, a 2002 Air Force Academy graduate and former Air Force captain who currently holds the position as sergeant with the New York State Police. We are also pleased to have with us, as we have for many, many years, Heidi Reisman, a 1988 graduate of the Air Force Academy with 28 years of service in the Air Force as a environmental engineer and admissions liaison officer for the Air Force Academy. Heidi is currently employed as an environmental health and safety manager at 3M in Tonawanda. Representing the United States Coast Guard Academy tonight is Commander Robert Kistner, a 1999 graduate of the Coast Guard Academy in Operations Research, who is currently serving as Deputy Sector Commander of Coast Guard Sector in Buffalo. Also with us is Robert Moscato, a retired teacher and school administrator who has served a number of years as a member of the Coast Guard Auxiliary and Coast Guard Academy Partner Program. And from the Army ROTC, we welcome Lieutenant Colonel Rebecca Sparacino, who earned her commission through the Army ROTC and went on to serve in both the active and reserve components for a total of 21 years. She currently serves as enrollment officer for the Canisius College Army ROTC program. As a member of Congress, I have had the opportunity to travel to some of the most volatile places in the world, including Iraq and Afghanistan, including in addition to many other places. You get a sense as to, when you're on the ground, as to the difficulty that the United States Armed Forces are confronted with in Iraq and Afghanistan, culturally, historically, and in terms of the politics of every war. But with each and every encounter, the most impressive thing that you're confronted with is the extraordinary commitment and love of country that the United States troops have on behalf of the people of the United States and the great country that they serve. I want to thank you all for being here tonight. And I want to wish all of you, all of the applicants, the best of luck through the application process. Representing my office, my extraordinary office, on this call is our District Director, Megan Corbett, Communications Director, Teresa Kennedy, and Service Academy Manager, Evelyn Williams. They are a great, great group of public servants who work for me, but serve all of you. We are also pleased to partner with the offices of Senator Kirsten Gillibrand to bring to you this event. Representing the Senator's office in the Western New York region is Courtney Ball, and Western New York Representative Austin Ponce. So thank you again for being here. I hope that you will gain a tremendous sense of knowledge about what awaits you as you consider your application process, but also I think you'll be inspired by the great experience, the people that have generously serve on our committee to give you the experience that they've had, to encourage you to make application to the various service academies. So thank you very much for being here, and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to welcome you to this session.
All right. Thank you very much, Brian, for your kind words. Next time, could you leave out the years that we graduated from university? It's making us seem pretty old. So otherwise, that was great. And I know Brian takes this very seriously. For those of you who live in District 26, you will meet Brian again when we do the nomination process. So we appreciate his support. Okay, so now we're going to move into the program. Each panel member is going to give you a 5-minute overview of the process for their particular service academy. And we're going to start with the Air Force. So we're going to have Lieutenant Colonel Heidi Reisman and Jeff Burhart can give us a few minutes on Air Force Academy. Go Eagles.
So I'm Lieutenant Colonel retired Heidi Reisman and would like to welcome you all here tonight. As you're all aware, this is a very different type of session than we have ever had, and probably you are probably all more familiar with this type of session with the way school is being run at most of the facilities that you're at. So all of you are interested in serving your country, or you would not be here tonight. And so we are thankful for that. As you're looking at the service academies and where you want to spend your next 4 years after you graduate, I think there's a lot of questions that you need to dig down deep and ask yourself. First, one of the things that we like you to that I would encourage you to think about for yourself is, what is your purpose and what is it that gives you, what is your passion towards service? As you look at the different Air Force academies, they all have their specialties, they all have the things that they do well. When you are looking at that, the Air Force Academy is obviously, their main mission is going to be flying. But in order to support that flying mission, you have to realize that there are a number of other jobs that are required in order to keep those planes in the air. And they account for far more than the number of people who are flying. So the Air Force Academy is a great opportunity for you to be able to get a chance at a great education, where you will have a lot of opportunity to try a lot of different things, from soaring to jumping out of an airplane, to working with other students in leadership and in followership roles. And it is located in Colorado Springs for those of you who are not that familiar with it. So it is an awesome opportunity. It is a highly accredited and rated school for their engineering programs. So upon graduation, depending on the field that you go, you are have a service obligation of 5 years to some number more if you go into a flight program. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to let Jeff continue with some points that he has as well.
Sure, thank you. Jeff Burhart. I'm a 2002 grad, as Congressman Higgins mentioned. Just a few specifics to add on to Lieutenant Colonel. The Air Force, just like all of these schools, you're going to hear similar things. You're going to graduate with a Bachelor of Science degree, regardless of what you major in. But if you go to the Air Force Academy, we have 28 majors to choose from, 12 minors. And then at the end of your 4 years, you have approximately, depending on the needs of the Air Force, 30 to 35 career fields to choose from when you graduate. Now, most years, half of every graduating class goes to pilot training, which is one of the big reasons a lot of people choose the Air Force Academy, obviously. Now, that typically means that if you want a pilot slot, it's yours to lose, to say, if half the class is getting slots. On top of that, your commitment, like as she mentioned, is going to be 5 years, or depending on some of the other career fields you can choose, they can vary. So, for example, graduates who attend pilot training incur an active duty service commitment of 10 years after receiving their pilot wings. So if you spend 4 years at the academy, you sit around for a year before you get into pilot training, it takes a year to get through pilot training, then you have a 10-year commitment on top of that. So you're looking at 12 years post-graduation committed to the Air Force and to the U.S. government. Just something to keep in mind. It is a sacrifice to go to academy. You do get a lot out of it, but you're going to give a lot as well. And with that, we'll move on to the next presenter.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. Again, you'll have a chance to ask questions at the end. If you want to put in a question in the chat, we'll catch those as well. So feel free to do that as we go. We're going to move on to all things naval now. Naval Academy, ROTC, and Coast Guard is going to be addressed by my good friend, Commander Tony Deaville.
All right, good evening, everyone. Hey, I'm going to talk the Naval Academy, I'm going to talk Navy ROTC, and then we're going to talk the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy. So the main thing I have to put out is the 70, 80, and 90 rule. So 70% of the world is covered in water. 80% of the people live near the water. 90% of all trade in the world comes over water. So what I'm presenting to you is the rationale of why we need a Naval Academy, why we need a Navy ROTC, and why we need the Merchant Marine Academy. Is that we need protection for all those sea lanes, for all those travel lanes where trade is coming over. We need protection for the president. The president needs to be able to say, hey, I need help right now here. And an aircraft carrier will come off the coast of that fine place that the president is worried about. We also need people to work in the maritime industry so that we can have all these ships run. There's operations behind the ships, and then there's actually people running the ships. So the shipping industry is complex, and we need highly trained individuals to do that. So these are three ways that our U.S. government provides that core force to defend the sea lanes and to run the sea lanes. So Naval Academy. Naval Academy has 25 majors. You are going to graduate with a Bachelor of Science. Highly, highly, highly engineering based. So if you major in English or major in history or major in poli-sci, you're still going to take a few years of math and engineering courses and sciences. We want you to be highly educated in those technical fields. So that's what we're pushing there. About a quarter, 20-25% go into the Marine Corps that graduate from the Naval Academy. So if you want to join the Marine Corps team, you go through the ROTC or you go through the Naval Academy. Merchant Marine Academy. There are about 1,000 people or 1,000 midshipmen currently in the Merchant Marine Academy. So they take in they take in about 300 a year, and we're trying to train them for 3 different jobs. So one job you could do is actually work on the ship, drive the ship, or be the engineer on a ship. The other job that the Merchant Marine Academy will push will be the operational side. So we need people logistically working in the maritime industry. And then the other third actually go into the services. And the great thing about the Merchant Marine Academy is you can choose the service. You don't have to be in the Navy. You can choose to go into the Air Force. You can choose to go into a service. If the Air Force takes you, that would be great. But the main thing about the Merchant Marine Academy I like is it's smaller. The faculty is always on with you. It's a smaller campus, and everyone knows everybody. And then the flexibility. If you want to join whatever service you feel at the end, this is what you can do. The last thing that's a positive for the Merchant Marine Academy is no one really applies. So it's very limited applications. The competition is not as hardcore, and it's probably easier to get a nomination, especially in the what we're talking about now with the nomination process with Congressman Higgins or Senator Gillibrand. So that's something to think about. ROTC. I personally went to ROTC in one of the first 6 ROTC units. It's not that old, but 1926 they started the ROTC for the Navy, leveraging off what the Army was doing. And I went to UC Berkeley and became a naval officer, and then did 20 some odd years driving ships around the world. So you can be part of that pointy end of the stick through the ROTC, both either with the Marine Corps or the Navy. You have to choose for the ROTC the Navy or Marine Corps before you apply. So when you're applying, you got to choose, go to the left to the Marine Corps or go to the right for the Navy. So you got to decide before. At the Naval Academy, you can decide while you're going. That is a distinct difference you need to understand up front. There is a minimum SAT score for the ROTC. There's not for the academies. Now, there's a gray area of where the academy likes their SATs, and I know the board scores are right now questionable. The board scores are, the academy and the ROTC programs understand the issues with the boards. In fact, the academy has pushed their deadline for applications to February 28th of next year because they know that even last week, the SATs got canceled locally here in New York. So it's complicated. And the academy understands that, and they're going to take everything they can into the picture to get what you need to do. So back to the ROTC, 163 different colleges have that. You can apply and get a nationwide scholarship, or you can start drilling with them for 1 to 2 years to see if you like it and see if you can get a scholarship. And then there's these programs opening up throughout the nation. There's about 30 colleges right now of those 163 that are giving their students that get accepted to those schools full ride scholarships if they want to do ROTC. A good example would be SUNY Maritime in the Bronx. If you go into the SUNY Maritime, they'll pay you money to go be in the ROTC. They may not pay full tuition, but they'll pay you money to go into the ROTC. So lots of options. Again, 70, 80, 90, we're protecting the sea lanes and running the sea lanes. That's what we're offering, and I cease the rest of my time. Thank you. Back to Jerry.
Well done. Thank you, Tony. Okay, we're going to go on to West Point, the U.S. Military Academy, the oldest academy. They have a decent football team this year, so let's give it up to Randy Garver and Jim Montgomery.
Unfortunately, my partner in crime, Jim, had to step off for another matter with work. But thank you to.
I'm still here, Randy, for 2 more minutes.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Oh boy!
I sent you a text prematurely. That was my fault.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead first, then, there, Jim.
Let's
what do you
jump
got?
in whenever you want to, Jim.
Well, I'll be really brief because I do have to go. I'm sorry, Randy, to cut you off, but thanks for everybody jumping on. But I don't want to steal any of Mr. Garver's thunder, but I will tell you all that Congressman Higgins is 100% correct. You're going to get a tremendous education. You're going to have endless opportunities, and you're going to be able to serve your country. So these things, every one of the academies, ROTC programs, whatever you do, if you enlist in the military, you will have experiences that money cannot buy. I will tell you that. And every one of us on the panel can tell you that 100%. So thanks for coming. I'm going to sign off. Randy, thanks for letting me jump in here with a quick parting shot. But I'm going to pull the pin in the grenade and get out of here on the smoke grenade. All right. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you. So for the candidates and for the applicants, the high school and parents out there, I want to thank you for your desire to serve. And I tell you, I said this before, I tell this to anyone, what we really need, what the military academies need, all of them, and ROTC need, are good patriotic young people, young citizens, young folks that really want to serve the nation. So I tell everyone, there's no competition between any of the service academies or ROTC, right? So I want good young people. I'm a patriot. I'm a citizen, and of course, I want a good, competent Air Force, a good, competent Marine Corps. So I've told my son, who's looking at the Air Force, that he should look at the Air Force Academy and Air Force ROTC. So I don't want anyone to get any impression of anything else. But one thing I would tell you is, for West Point, it's all of these ROTC scholarships are phenomenal opportunities, ones that I will absolutely steer my children to as appropriate as in terms of what they want to do. But the warrior ethos for the military, for West Point and for Army ROTC is very much emphasized at West Point, and I think that becomes part of the entire 4-year experience. If the thought of leading troops in combat or to a training mission doesn't excite you, then you need to really consider what it is you're doing and why. It does not mean that, as a sophomore or junior in high school, you think you are prepared to do that, because I most certainly was not at 16 and 17 years old. But the thought of someday taking troops overseas and deploying on some type of operational deployment should be exciting to you. And if it does excite you, then perhaps those ethos are in you that can be developed into warrior ethos that become part of your life. One of the things I tell you about West Point, all these service academies, is access to your professors is really unmatched. I started in at a university, at Kansas State University, and I did ROTC there. It was a phenomenal experience. It was awesome, and I'm very close to some of those folks that I trained with there and was with there. But the access to your professors at these service academies cannot be beat unless you go to a very, very small college. I'm sure it could be matched there. But one of the differences there at these service academies is, and at West Point for sure, is that the professors and all of the staff around you most definitely buy into your professional development and your academic development. And that's a key. I would tell you, one of the things I realized when I was there is you cannot outwork the professor. So if you're willing to do the work as a student, they will continue to make time to do additional instruction and get you squared away if you're willing to do the work. And that was key for, I think that makes the academies a unique experience. That was instrumental in my graduating, to be perfectly honest. Academics, I would tell you that when you look at all these academies, all of them have phenomenal academic programs. But I would tell you that a lot of times people come up to me and say, well, I don't really want to do West Point. I'm not interested in West Point of the Army because it doesn't have some of these STEM heavy programs. And I tell them, hey, take a look at this. Any of you all that are looking at space operations and looking at aerospace stuff, certainly aerospace engineering, you look at and say, hey, the Air Force Academy has a great program. Well, they absolutely do. They absolutely do. But the job placement and the military opportunities that you can find in the Army through, the mech aero degree at West Point does lead you into pretty neat places as well. So don't necessarily say, oh, it's space and I want to, go to a different academy. Take a look at what West Point's doing with that and with cyber, because these are brand new areas that they're really moving into. The last thing I'll leave you with is one of the things that's really important at West Point, and I always try to emphasize it, and I think it's, also obviously important throughout the military community, is the moral and ethical development. And that is something that, I tell you that one of the emphasis is to not just a honor code, which you probably are familiar with, but also honorable living for the rest of your life. And I think that's really important. And I think that's something that you need to be focused on. Hey, am I someone that buys into honorable living, patriotic service to the nation, humble service to the nation, honorable living? That's really important. Finally, I'll leave you with a couple practical pieces here for West Point and for everything you're doing with ROTC scholarship applications. Be early on your deadlines, because they are rolling. When they have files that are admissible and the academy wants them, they go ahead and offer that individual admission. And when they do that, if that individual says yes, that's one less slot that's out there. So be early. And it also gives you time. If there's an issue with your physical, it gives them time to remediate that, to send you to an orthopedic guy or whatever, so that they can get a look at this issue and take care of it. If you wait until the very end to do your physical, there's no time to get a waiver through. Do your nominations. Do them now. This is a parallel process. West Point admissions does not talk to the nominating sources. So those need to be done. They probably should be in already. And you heard Mr. Ponce say that their deadline's October 25th. The other ones are a couple weeks after that. So if those are not in, you're behind the power curve. Finally, continue to improve your file. Even as you move through your junior and senior year, and even if you're an active applicant right now, continue to improve your file. There are things you can do with additional board scores, additional SATs, getting a second physical fitness test and things like that does help, in getting, leadership positions within the school, within clubs, within yearbook staff, whatever it may be, does help to improve your file. So with that, I will turn it back over to Mr. Irving and move on to our next presenter.
Thank you, Randy. Really great advice for all students, for all the academies. Okay, we're going to talk about the Coast Guard Academy. We have Mr. Robert Moscato, and we may have Commander Kistner as well. I'm not sure, but go ahead, Bob, unmute.
Hey, this is Rob Kistner. So a quick thank you to Representative Higgins and also to Senator Gillibrand for sponsoring this event and inviting us to attend. Thank you again to all of you guys who are out there and interested in military service and the military academies. It certainly takes a special breed to do that. And all of these, as many of the other folks have mentioned, all of these are really excellent, excellent schools, and in many ways are unlike anything that you can get from a regular civilian institution. I'm a 1999 graduate of the Coast Guard Academy, and I'm currently still on active duty. I serve as the Deputy Sector Commander at Coast Guard Sector Buffalo. CGA, like all the other academies, it's located, the CGA is located in New London, Connecticut, for those who may not know. Again, 4-year undergraduate degree at essentially no cost, like any other service academies. The CGA, Coast Guard Academy, is the only one that does not require a congressional nomination, so you can actually apply just like a regular college, but is still one of our nation's 5 service academies. CGA offers 9 majors. They're STEM heavy, and no matter what major you take, you're going to come out with a Bachelor of Science degree. And that's not all you're going to walk away with. Enriching students beyond the classroom is definitely a focus of the academy, like it is with all the other academies, but focusing on developing leaders of character, and giving you a skill set that is going to benefit you throughout your life, regardless of whether or not you decide to just complete your what is a 5-year obligation for the Coast Guard Academy or go on to serve a full military career. These are life skills that are absolutely valued to you throughout any of your future endeavors. In close competition, I suppose, with the Merchant Marine Academy, Coast Guard Academy is the smallest of the 5 service academies. Student body is just over 1,000. And for me, I found that especially appealing. The small campus feel worked out really well for me. By the end of freshman year, I knew everyone who was in my graduating class by name, and I knew really everyone on campus, at least knew of them by the time I graduated. So that small feel, that also benefits you in terms of your educational regime. So within my major, I don't think I ever had a class where I had more than 20 students per class, and also had a number of the same instructors and professors over again, which over the course of a 4-year degree really allows you to form a relationship with those instructors, and that's beneficial, whether it's maybe working on the need to do some, extra work on a certain skill set, or just to be able to have some good exemplars of those that you'll emulate throughout your academy time and potentially even after. The other, like many other service academies, there are unique experiences that you can get nowhere else. For me, for example, I sailed across the Atlantic on a 300-foot square rigged vessel called sail vessel called the Eagle, America's tall ship. And I got the opportunity during a different training program to sit in the cockpit of most of the Coast Guard's airframes and take the sticks for a few minutes while up in the air. And perhaps most importantly is forming friendships that honestly will last you for a lifetime. Going to, I think, any academy, this is certainly true. It's absolutely been my experience. These are places where you really form a strong relationship with your classmates, and as you overcome adversity together and as you excel together. I didn't think too much about it while I was there, but after graduation, commissioning, it's immediate employment. You go out into the Coast Guard for the academy. Mostly about 85% of CGA graduates will go to a cutter, 10% to flight school, 5% to other billets. One difference between the Coast Guard as a service and some of the other service academies is that everyone's a line officer. So if you start off in a certain place, for example, I started off as a shipboard engineer, but then later went on to become a inspector of merchant vessels. I had different staff assignments and have done a number of different things, including where I am right now. And so there's a little bit more flexibility to move between different specialties in the Coast Guard than there may be in some other services. To me, what really sets the Coast Guard Academy apart from other service academies is the Coast Guard itself. The Coast Guard really is a unique aspect of the U.S. government. There's 11 statutory missions, the foremost of which is search and rescue. And that's a mission that I currently oversee throughout Lakes Erie and Ontario, where In the last year, the Coast Guard men and women assigned within this region saved the lives of 382 people and assisted 1,800 more. In my experience, it's the Coast Guard special missions people and culture that result in 85% of Coast Guard Academy graduates staying on beyond their initial obligated service, and many going on to receive also free postgraduate opportunities. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Bob Moscato. He's one of our long-serving CGA admissions partners and someone who may be involved in interviews for applicants and other things. Bob?
Thanks, Rob. Again, my name is Robert Moscato. I'm a 16-year member of the Coast Guard Auxiliary. The Coast Guard Auxiliary is the civilian side of the Coast Guard. We do all the volunteer work for the Coast Guard, such as serving as a partner. My background before I retired was in education for 33 years. I retired as high school principal at Maryville High School. During this time, I saw numerous outstanding students enter the various academies to emerge in life as doctors, captains of their ship, and even my own nephew, who is now a general at Fort Bragg. When I retired, the natural fit for me was working with high school students in the Academy Partner Program. My responsibilities include giving presentations, interviewing candidates for the Academy, and participating in the 3 summer AIM programs. That's the Academy Introduction Missions. Each of the military academies has their own AIM program. So I strongly suggest that each of the candidates that are in their junior year investigate it, because it's a really good experience for you to be involved in AIM. I was involved in it for over 3 years. AIM offers a 1-week summer program for rising seniors. Any U.S. citizen in the junior year of high school is eligible to apply. It's a great opportunity to live life as a cadet for 1 week. It's a tough, challenging program that isn't for everyone. I encourage you to take a risk, give it a try. You won't regret it. Deadline is April 1st for AIM, and I strongly suggest that as soon as the information says that they're taking applicants, get your application in. It's basically first come, first served, and they have over 500 students that are involved each summer. And the involved period is the first 3 weeks of July. In closing, let me stress to all the students here tonight that going to a military academy is something that should be their choice and not their parents. Sometimes we find that, as I found in the AIM program, kids that want to drop out of the AIM program would tell us, my father wanted me to come here. I didn't want to get involved. So make it your dream. And if it's your father's dream, what's basically going to end up happening in most cases, you're going to end up dropping out and you're going to end up owing the government money. For those that are graduate from college, awaiting you at graduation will be a guaranteed 5-year job with good pay, or the option of a graduate program paid for by the government for an additional year of service. You also have developed skills and character traits, which after your 5-year obligation transfers equally to a continuing career in the Coast Guard or a vast number of other choices in civilian life. Whether you continue in the Coast Guard or opt for another career path, the constant for you as a graduate of the Coast Guard Academy will be development of character, a sense of honor, finely honed technical skills, personal discipline, leadership experience, work ethic, and an attitude of service which will enrich you, your family, your community, and your nation lifelong. And for that, I now turn it back.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it. And last but not least, we have to talk about Army ROTC Lieutenant Colonel Rebecca Sparacino. Becky, thanks for waiting.
Oh, no problem. I'd just like to thank Senator Gillibrand's office and Congressman Higgins' office for including the Army ROTC program and ROTC programs. ROTC for the Army is actually the largest commissioning source. We commission over 70% of the officer corps. It's offered over at 1,300 colleges and universities across the nation, so it opens doors of opportunities. If you're interested in military service and you are applying for an academy, I would encourage you to apply for their Army or their ROTC programs. A lot of times, you know, academies are limited to the number of students they can accept, but ROTC programs have a little more flexibility. The Army ROTC program, it's one of two ways for a young person to earn a commission while pursuing an undergraduate degree. It is considered the most flexible commissioning source. Students that complete the ROTC curriculum and earn a commission can either serve in the active Army or its reserve components, the Army National Guard or the Army Reserve. It is a phenomenal scholarship opportunity, and for high school students, the Army ROTC scholarship opened on the 12th of June and will close on the 4th of February. That's for current high school seniors. The application is found at www.goarmy.com/ROTC. Army ROTC looks for the same thing that the service academies look for. We look for scholar athlete leaders, students that are medically, physically, and emotionally fit. So if your goal is to serve your country, ensure you look at ROTC as a path to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. That's great advice. Many more slots in ROTC than in service academies. All right. So we've got 10 minutes or so for questions. Austin, turn it over to you for the written questions. Is that right?
Yep, you're correct. I'll go ahead and start with one of the first questions that we received, which is there aerospace engineering at the U.S. Air Force Academy?
I think the answer is yes, with Becky or Heidi or
Yes, I'm here.
yeah.
There's aerospace engineering. There's a major, aeronautical engineering and astronautical engineering, depending on what you're specifically looking for. Those are two of our most difficult but also popular majors.
Great. By the way, I would encourage all of the applicants to go on the websites of these academies, go on YouTube, there's lots of videos, there's all sorts of information online you can find about all these academies. Okay, Austin, what else?
Clear what service this is for, but someone said they want to be a security specialist, and more specifically a security defender, but they looked on the website and could not determine what some of the requirements were for that.
Yeah, this is how I read that, and I'm not sure what they're asking. It may be that they're talking about cybersecurity, which all of the academies have. Does anybody else want to hazard a guess from the panel? An answer?
I can throw in the Air Force Academy recently, within the past 5 years, added a cyber science major, they're calling it, and a portion of that is conducting offensive and defensive cyber operations. I don't know. That's what they're asking.
The Coast Guard Academy also instituted a cyber systems course 2 years ago, and basically it trains them.
Okay, it looks like we lost Bob, but basically, so the answer to that is look up cyber security, CYBER security. That's probably what you're thinking of.
It could be also police force kind of security. So
yeah,
that's another law enforcement one too. So that would be more Coast Guard, Army, and Air Force.
Yep. Thank you, Tony. Austin, what else?
Do the SAT or ACTs have a big impact on the selection process?
Normally, yes. This year, because of those SATs and ACTs, they're being canceled. The Academy is going to have to take a look at PSATs, or maybe someone has already taken an SAT. But yeah, ordinarily very important. And this year, the Academy is going to have to get creative.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Excuse me. I could jump in quickly.
Randy,
I would tell you, and I would imagine all the service academies are about the same, but on the initial look from West Point, they're taking the academic risk. They're basically saying that they're going to look at SATs being 60% of the academic risk assessment. So it doesn't mean that, you need a specific number or anything else, but certainly when they're looking at taking applicants and then moving them through kind of the next step, the next gate to move through, that academic risk is being weighed by SAT score. By 60% of that is roughly the SAT score. So is it important? Yeah, it's extremely important. The nice thing is all of these academies super score, and you can continue to update these as you move through the process. That's what I was kind of speaking to, of improving your file. So even when I was an applicant, my SATs, I had good grades, but my SAT scores were a killer, and they were holding me back. So I continued to take prep courses and then retake the test. And I was a guy who was well into my senior year and then into my year at Kansas State retaking SATs, because I knew that was the thing that West Point was going to use to assess me. So yeah, the SAT scores are vitally important. And I do know with COVID, there have been some exceptions in different talks, but they told me that for the candidates here, they need to figure it out, is basically what they said. West Point has looked at where these tests are available, and they said, they're still looking to see the actual score. They're using the PSATs and stuff to measure that first portion of to assess that risk right now, but they want to see a real SAT score with writing, because I know we have candidates that have gone to the Pittsburgh area just to take a test.
Thank you, Randy.
Hey,
Austin?
for the Naval Academy, they are understanding the SAT stuff, and they're looking at other options and what they can do, and then they extended things to the right. So again, they're they'll take SATs all the way up until probably December's test. They may even go into January's. Right now, it's December's test.
Yeah, Air Force is accepting results into February, but if you can't get a test scheduled and taken by the end of December, you have to contact your admissions counselor, is the guidance we've been given.
All right. Austin, what's the next question?
This is a general question, but what is student life like at a service academy? Besides classes, this questioner is assuming that students need to do physical training, participate in sports, as well as skills training. What would an average day look like?
I'm trying to think. Go ahead, Jeff. You're
tell
probably there most recently.
I try and keep in touch with recent grads and current cadets, and so I can tell you, generally speaking, at the Air Force Academy, you're going to be in a squadron of about 100 cadets, and that's split up equally between the 4 classes. You're going to have, especially as a 4th class cadet or freshman, you're going to have a heavy course load, typically 15 to 20 credit hours in a semester. That's going to take up most of your regular day. After the school day is over, similar to a high school day, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're going to have activities in your squadron, and that can vary. That could be physical training. That could be some type of leadership training. It could be some type of guest speaker. And it depends too on the squadron you're in. Some squadrons have a reputation for being more physically focused on physical training. Other squadrons don't. So, and you don't really have a choice what squadron you're going to be in. That's a typical day, and that'll last throughout the week. On the weekends, this is similar, probably most of the academies. During football season, you're required to attend football games. So at the Air Force Academy, we used to call it the triple threat. On Saturday mornings, you would have a parade, whether or not there was any spectators. It could be, in December and snowing sideways, but you're still going to have a parade, and then you're going to have a room and uniform inspection, and then you're all going to go to the football game. Again, whether or not there's anybody else there because the weather is terrible, you'll still be there. And that's a Saturday for you. And typically as a freshman, you're not going to get a lot of opportunities to leave the academy either.
Anyone want to add anything from one of the other service academies on that?
I can jump in briefly. I would say prepare yourself, if you're doing this, that you're probably going to have 2 weeks at home in the summer. All 4 of these years, all 3 of those summers, or 4 of your summers, you're going to end up being tied up with military training and other academic enrichment and things like that. So about 2 weeks home with your family in the summer is a pretty good number. If you can get a little bit more, then you can consider yourself lucky. And at West Point, you're certainly going to drill at least twice a week during what we call drill season, and you're going to do the intramurals during each in the afternoon. So intramurals are very, very competitive there. I'd say it's about at high school type level of competition, but they're fun. There's a lot of camaraderie. It's companies versus companies and a lot of rivalry, and it's good stuff. So,
Right.
and like Jeff said, the weekends, that sounded, it sounds like he's a West Point guy. That's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to do the parade. It could be miserable out there, and but that's, it is important what they're doing. But yeah, we all do that Saturday sounds about right with inspections and the rest of it.
All right, we're getting a lot of questions, so I want to move on. I would just recommend, again, for the students, go on YouTube. There are student-prepared videos about what it's like at any of the academies. So take a look at those, and you get a firsthand understanding. Okay, Austin, you want to read the next one?
Sure. Are medical conditions like a peanut allergy, for example, or eczema disqualifying?
Tony, have you dealt with that?
I'd go Rebecca if she's on here. She's my expert.
I will tell you, each academy and ROTC program, there are certain medical conditions that are considered waiverable and others that are not. Each student is going to have to undergo a Department of Defense Medical Examining Review Board physical, affectionately called the DOBMERB physical. That physical will determine whether or not you meet the qualifications for military service, whether or not it is for ROTC or an academy. Sometimes it varies. Allergies, you probably, if you're taking a specific medicine for an allergy, they'll look at what the medicine is and what the risk is associated with that. You may have some what we call remedials to answer to and provide additional medical documentation for. And what was the other one? Peanut allergies, and what was the other question?
Skin eczema.
So eczema sometimes can be, again, it depends on the academy and the severity, but you would go for a department. If you considered competitive, your service academy or the ROTC programs will request that you complete the Department of Defense physical. You will complete that. If they ask for additional information, you would have to supply that. And you may, depending on the situation, may or may not get a waiver for it. So to err on the side of caution, continue applying, but then be realistic and understand that certain medical conditions may prevent you from serving in the military.
Yep. Peanut allergy and asthma are the number that you're not going to get in. If you have asthma that's active and you have a peanut allergy that's active, you're going to be disqualified.
Thank you. Okay, quick question for Evelyn or Teresa. Do we have a hard stop at the top of the hour? We only got 2 minutes left and we had questions.
No, we can continue to take questions.
Okay, Austin?
As a sophomore or junior, what could one of those students do to improve their prospects for getting into a service academy?
Who wants to take this one, panel? I'm sure it's similar for all of these services.
They make sure that they get in and take all the advanced placement courses. They make sure that they take the science courses and the math courses, the highest level they can, and make sure that they don't relax their senior year and take some easy courses. And they have to work hard when they're in high school.
Yeah.
They may have to shy away from activities that normal high school students would be involved in, and make sure their academics are their #1 priority.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. But you'd also want to take a look at how well-rounded you are in terms of leadership experience, which is Randy talked about it, in maybe in student government or in clubs. Definitely apply for the summer programs. You heard about the AIM program. All the academies have a summer program. You can get on their website. So all of those things would help you.
And for everyone, take a look at the admissions pages of each of these academies. There's actually, I know on West Point's, and I believe there is on the Naval Academies, there's a drop down that says for middle schoolers, for ninth and 10th year, it says for sophomores, for juniors. And also bear in mind that window opens for these service academies in January of your junior year. And as was mentioned earlier, that window opens in June of your really of your junior year in New York, but in June, you know, between your junior and senior year, that it does for the ROTC scholarship. So, and just like the rest of them, if you're early and the ROTC scholarship stuff, if you're early, the pot of money's bigger, right? And then they do a board and they allocate some scholarships, and they'll do another board months later, and the pot of money's smaller. So be early in what you're doing.
Yep.
No, another thing that they should do is visit the academies, make arrangements if they're good in a certain sport, make arrangements to see a coach and visit with that coach. If they're good in a certain subject, make sure that they talk with a professor at one of the academies and have their parents come along. Right now, there's virtual tours. So we have to wait until after the pandemic before we can actually take the real in-person tours.
Thanks. And very good on that, sophomore, for asking those questions early.
Another, though, opportunity to consider is both boys and girls state that is offered by the legions to apply for.
Yeah, boys state, girls state, training programs for leadership in the summer you apply for. Great. Okay. What's next, Austin?
Oh, general question. What is prep school like for the service academies?
I could take it for the Air Force. The Air Force Preparatory School, you can't apply directly to it. If you apply to the Air Force Academy and the Academy thinks you'd be a good candidate for the prep school, they'll offer you a spot there in lieu of a spot at the Air Force Academy. It's a one-year program. It's designed, maybe not designed for athletes, but a majority of the cadets there are athletes, and it helps prep you for the academic rigors of the Academy.
At the Coast Guard Academy, there's approximately 60 students that are accepted into the prep school. And a lot of people, a lot of times kids will think, oh, I don't want to go to a prep school. You have the same advantages in terms of receiving a monthly paycheck. As long as you pass all of the coursework that you're involved in, you automatically are accepted into the academy the following year. And most of the students that finish the prep school program end up as leaders in the Coast Guard because they're a little bit ahead of the class that they are entered into.
Great.
And whoops, and one last thing. Don't think of the prep school as a negative. What that means is the Service Academy really wants you. They want you, but there's some sort of thing they see in your academic record they don't really trust. They may not think you're ready for the academic rigor at the Service Academy itself, but they like you. They want you. And so they think if we give you a year more of schooling, you'll be ready for the academic rigor at the Service Academy. Think of it as a positive. They're really interested in you.
Great. Thank you. Austin? Next.
How is a low ASVAB score viewed against higher quality grades that a candidate may have?
I think we already answered that.
Well, the only thing that takes ASVAB is the Marine Corps ROTC program. No other programs take ASVAB into their compiling of data. So the only ones that take it is Marine Corps Navy ROTC scholarship, Marine Corps option. That's everything else. They don't take ASVAB.
Okay. Austin?
With the cancellation of SATs across the state and across the nation right now, what is the situation for those that will not be able to take that test before the nomination application deadline?
Evelyn or Teresa, because I think this is about the nomination package. We've already addressed it for the academies.
Sure, I can speak to that. At least in the case of Congressman Higgins' office, we will adapt the flexible testing policy that the academies are implementing. If you do have a PSAT score, you are encouraged to submit that. And if you do end up getting a SAT score prior to the December interviews, we'd encourage you to submit those. But otherwise, we will certainly still consider your application for a nomination. But I do encourage you to submit those applications on time. Our deadline is November 6th, and you can get all of the information for our application process on our website. We are also asking that you submit your applications electronically this year. So we're asking that you submit your completed application directly to Evelyn Williams, who's our coordinator in the office. Just wanted to make note of that because that is a new change for this year.
Thank you, Megan. Two answers for one. Very good. What else, Austin? Austin, you're on mute. There we go.
Two more specific questions that we have regarding the Naval Academy. What is a good estimate of the number of students that receive a pilot slot? Additionally, what is the difficulty of getting into the Naval Special Forces after graduation?
All right,
Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, I got it. Thanks, Jerry. So pilots, for the most part, there's 1,000 graduates from the Naval Academy every year. About a quarter of them are pilots. So if you really want to be a pilot, eyeballs are important. So don't get LASIK surgery or don't get any of that stuff before you get to the academy. If you want to go through it, they could possibly do that kind of surgery there, but they're going to worry about your eyeballs, make sure you got good vision. And then you got to take a couple tests to see if you qualify. But if you do that and you get it through all that, they'll slot you for an aviation spot. Air Force Academy guarantees you a spot. Naval Academy, we're close to guarantee, but not perfectly close. The Marine Corps also has about 40 or 50 slots also as well for Marine Corps pilots. And then for Special Forces, there is now a SEAL on campus that trains on campus for the SEAL. There's a SEAL training program there. They've realized over the years that it's important to have more of a physical training on the campus because they're having people dropping out of BUDS, and they want to make sure there's a better training program prior to BUDS, Basic Underwater Demolition School in Coronado. They want to make sure that people are ready for it. So 20 to 30 a year out of those 1,000 graduates go into the SEALs. I don't know what I think it's about a 75% dropout from there. So about 25% of those actually make it through BUDS. BUDS is tough. And then ROTC, you can, I'd say, about 2 to 3% of the graduates coming out of ROTC go into SEALs. So if you want to do ROTC as well, you can do that there. Hope that answers.
Great, thank you. Austin?
Another student asks, if I want to contact an advisor, is it on the website? So if we have any other questions, we can contact the academy.
Yes.
Great.
Well, I think also Megan and Teresa are going to probably give our information out if desired. So my information can go out, and that's fine. You can contact me, and I'll get back to you for anything on the maritime side.
Will students be able to meet with a recruiter to help with physical training given COVID-19 precautions?
I can say the Air Force Academy has advised us not to do that unless absolutely necessary for the fitness assessment. So no.
So
go ahead.
So here's what I recommend you could do. You could contact an enlisted recruiter for whatever branch you want. And I guarantee you they'll have some sort of interest with you to try to find a way to do some sort of physical training with you. The negative aspect is they may want to enlist you. So they may say, oh, the officer program, well, you don't want to do that. Maybe you want to come with us, more of a guarantee. So be cautious with that, but I guarantee you all the service branches have some sort of training program because all their recruits are going through a training program right now. So you can probably join in with that. I know the Marine Corps is the toughest one of all those, and they're doing that right now. There is Marine Corps training going on even during COVID.
But you can also find the requirements, what they're looking for on their websites, and so you can just train yourself to those standards. What else, Austin?
Could a common mental disorder, such as bipolar disorder or PTSD, disqualify an individual from joining a service academy?
I can field that if you'd like.
Yeah, thanks, Brandon. Thanks.
Sure. Unfortunately, the answer is, it depends. That's why you got to be early, because there is no doubt when the DODMER process is the same for all of these programs. It's the same for Navy ROTC as it is for West Point, as it is for Army. It's one physical. There is no doubt in my mind that indicating that you've been diagnosed as bipolar and have some PTSD that challenges you will result in that flagging your file. Does that mean you can't get in? No, I don't know. So what will happen though is they will want all of your documentation, and they will order up probably some sort of remedials where you go see some sort of additional medical providers that they want to get an assessment on. So why are they doing that? Because the most important thing here, one of the things that when you are offered an Army ROTC scholarship or an appointment to West Point, they're saying, hey, you have all the tools right now to be commissioned in 4 years. So we're saying to you, hey, I think you can actually be on the rolls here in 4 years. And if we have a problem along the way, that's a loss. That's a loss for the Army. That's one less officer that was planned to be commissioned in that fiscal year. And now they won't be able to be for some other reason. So that's the reason for the academic or the physical, measuring physical risk, or in this case medical risk. So does it mean you cannot? No, I know for a fact there are kids that have had counseling and things like that are earn appointments. But what they need to know is, hey, West Point needs to know that. The Army needs to know that, because they want to ensure that young man or that young woman, when they get into the academic year and they're in their cadet company, that tactical officers, kind of the adult supervision down there, know about this so they can monitor this stuff. So if it's I don't know. I mean, if it's really severe stuff, I don't know what they'll do. It's unlikely they would, if there's aggravated circumstances, they probably wouldn't want to do that. But if there's stuff that, kids deal with, like, human beings deal with all the time, yeah, I don't think it's something that just would preclude you. So, but again, on the DODMER process, be early, like we've said, because they will need time to work with you on that. Thank you.
Thanks, Randy. Just for your information, folks, that DODMER is an acronym, Department of Defense Medical Examination Board, Review Board. So that's a separate part of the Department of Defense that does all the medical review and then advises all of the academies. So it's separate from the academies. Okay, more questions, Austin?
Yes, this was one that was partially answered in the chat, but I don't know if everyone saw it. Will Boys and Girls States programs overlap with summer seminar?
So since I answered it in the chat, I'll answer it here. Yeah, I'm following the chat too. I'll get to your question, Brian, I promise. The Boys State last week in June sometimes goes into the first day or two of July. The seminars, all the summer seminars, first 3 weeks in June. The biggest conflict for New York State is Regents testing. So Regents testing is going to be your second and third week in June. So I always recommend people go and apply for the first week, the one that doesn't overlap. So check with your counselors, look at the schedule for testing. What testings are you going to do? Again, this is for juniors, and you have to apply in January, late January, early February for summer seminar to make sure you get your slot. So that's where you want to talk to your counselors and figure out which week do you want and which one doesn't conflict with your chemistry one or your algebra 2 or whichever one it conflicts. I hope that helps.
And if there's a conflict with Boys State or Girls State and summer seminar, do Boys State or Girls State, because that's a lot of admissions points in summer seminar. For West Point, doesn't get, it's a great program, but it does not give you admissions points. That Boys State or Girls State gives you a ton. So if you're looking at, hey, I can only do one or the other, you want to do Boys State, Girls State. It's big on points.
Concur with Randy, because it's equivocate for the academy, for at least Naval Academy, it's equivocate to getting Eagle Scout. Going to Boys State is like equivocate to being an Eagle Scout. So that's how.
That's right. It is. It's the same thing, Tony. And it's the same number of points, and it is a huge chunk of that would really make your leadership score when they're doing the whole candidate scoring business. It'd be a nice feather in the cap. So that's why you want to, if one or the other, do Boys State, Girls State.
Yep.
Coast Guard Academy. The Coast Guard Academy has their AIM program the first 3 weeks in July.
Thank
Right.
you.
Oh, that's awesome. So I didn't know that. Thank you, Robert. For the Boys State, again, the rationale for why it's so high for all the academies is that they feel you've already got looked at. Somebody screened you for this program. Somebody already interviewed you, looked at you, and said, I like you over some other people. And so they think it's already a pre-screen. That's why it's a big deal.
Okay, I think we've got a couple more questions, right, Austin?
I think we're quickly coming down to the end of the list, unless I've missed anything here. But someone did ask, as a junior in this, where should they be in the academy application process?
Do you want it, Randy? You kept saying be early. Do you want to take that?
Yeah, sure.
They would be a little early as a junior, but
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly. In January, if you're a junior in high school right now, January of 2021 will be the first. It'll be in the first week or 2 weeks of January. Will be the first time when you put in a candidate ID, or you put in your information, that it will generate a candidate ID for you, which means they're ready for you. So if you were to go in there right now, they would probably tell you get an error message or something, because West Point is not interested in dealing with you right now, basically, because they're trying to get the class of 2025 put together. So be early. They say spring of junior year. I tell you January of junior year, and that's going to put you about right. And by default, you will be saying it'll ask you, do you want to apply for the summer seminar or summer leadership experience, whatever it is. Click yes. You want to apply for it. But at the same time, you should also be interfacing with your guidance counselor about doing Boys State, Girls State as well.
Yep.
You know?
And
very good.
And also, what you should be doing right now is SAT prep.
Yeah.
A lot of SAT prep. Even though it's not being offered, you still should do the SAT prep. Get yourself ready for that test. That testing score is important. And also talk to your counselors. Get in the highest math, the highest science classes you can take right now. That's what we're looking for as well. If you're taking business math when you could be taking algebra 2 or trigonometry, then that's a question that comes up. Alerts come up in the scheduling, and we wonder what's going on.
Very good question from that junior. In the chat, there's also some links that have been placed there from Senator Gillibrand's office and also Congressman Higgins' office about their processes for the nominations. Again, this whole presentation has been recorded, so you can get the link to that and go back and look at over all of these presentations and the answers we gave. Austin, is there anything I've missed in terms of another question?
I don't believe so.
I don't either. All right. Well, again, I want to thank the panelists, and I want to thank all the participants. We had over 60 people at the highest, 61 people, I think, participating. There's still 50 online. That's great. We really appreciate your interest. We see the best and the brightest, and obviously you guys are thinking about this very seriously, and so we wish you all well. And thanks again to everybody for participating. And stay safe, stay strong.